Hi my friends, welcome to another exciting one. Today we are doing a perfume CGI render from scratch. As always, it's going to be fun and exciting. So open up your blender and let's go. Before we start, please check out my cosmetic bottles pack, which contains 20 cosmetic bottles, 5 pre-made scenes, materials, gobos, and a lot more to help you create professional looking cosmetic renders in no time. Link in the description below. So we are going to start everything from scratch as we always do. So let's first hit on general to start with our bottle, our perfume bottle. So I'll select this light, hit on X to delete it from the scene. So let's start with our default cube. Today we are not going to delete our default cube, we are going to use it. So let's hit on S for scale, then we hit on X to scale it on the X axis like this, so that we have something nice like this. And then next, let's scale it up a little bit. So S and then Z to scale it up on the Z axis like this, so that we have something nice like this. So next, let's add in a subdivision, and then let's see how we can add some supporting edges to hold our form. So first, let's go to our modifiers tab, and then let's add in our subdivision surface modifier. So I'll go to subdivision surface to add in my subdivision. This is what we have. I'll increase the level to 2 so that we have something like this. Next, let's hit on tab to jump into edit mode. Before we go into edit mode, let's make sure we apply our scale. So we do Ctrl plus A, and then we can apply our scale so that everything will work as intended. So let's hit on apply scale to apply our scale. So next, let's hit on tab to go into our subdivision surface. So once we are here, we can check on this edit mode so that our subdivision is not displayed on the edit mode. And then once we hit on tab, we go back into our object mode, we see our subdivision applied. Then once we go into edit mode, our subdivision will be hidden. So now let's try and add in a loop cut all around, a couple of supporting edges all around our shape. So to do that, make sure we have our edge select mode active, and then we hit on A to select everything. So it's going to select this entire edges, and then we can do Ctrl plus P, scroll our bring our mouse wheel somewhere here, and then scroll our mouse wheel up so that until we have 3 cuts, right? So once we are here, we can still inside our loop cut, we can hit on inside our bevel, we can hit on P, and then we can bring our mouse wheel out like this to apply so that we have something like this. Or we can just toggle our bevel options here, and then we make sure our shape is always set to 0.5, which is the default. So make sure it's set to 1 so that we have supporting edges on both sides of our edges like this. So we have some at the top and then some at the bottom. So now if I hit on tab to go into edit, out of edit mode, this is what we have so far. So let's right click and then let's shade it smooth so that we have something nice like this. Now let's hit on tab once again, and then let's add in a couple of loop cuts here and there. So we can do Ctrl plus R, and then let's scroll our mouse wheel until we have 5 loop cuts like this. So just make sure we have 2 equal size, one cut that is dividing our shape into 2 equal sides like this. So let's add in some loop cuts here as well. Ctrl R. Here it doesn't really matter, and then we can add in 1 loop cut right at the middle. Ctrl plus R, Ctrl plus R, and then let's add 1 loop cut right at the middle. So let's select these sides and then use it to create a hole inside where the perfume will pass through. So let's go make sure we have our fixed select mode active. Click shift and then click these 4 sides here, and then we can do I to insert 1, then right click, and then loop tools, we go to circles. So if you don't have this option here, you have to go to your edit, preference, add-ons, and then you set for loop tools here. And then make sure you have it checked. It's just an add-on that comes by default with Blender. So make sure you have your loop tools checked, and then right click loop tools and then circles. We click on it, it turns all those quads into circles. We can hit on S to scale it down a little bit, hit on I to add in one insertion like this, and then maybe S to scale it down, and then E, and then bring it up on the Z axis like this. Then we can hit on X to delete faces, right? So let's tap back into edit mode, and this is what we have. Nice and simple. So next, let's add in some thickness to our shape. So to do that, we're going to hit on A to select everything, then Alt plus E, and then we go to extrude faces along normals, right? So we can see what we are doing very clearly. We can turn on our wireframe mode so that we see how much extrusion we have so far. So if you carefully look at this side, you can see it's okay, but then in case you add in Alt Shift, and then in case you add in more you want to add in more extrusion, it still works fine. Just make sure they don't intersect each other, else it's going to create some weird stuff here and there. So once it does that, you can always check here offset even, so that it extrudes evenly, right? But now just check offset even, and then make sure your offset, it doesn't do something like weird like this. It's always like this. So depending on the thickness you are looking for, you increase your extrusion nicely. So I think this is fine for our purposes here. We can tab out of edit mode, and then make sure we go back to our solid shading view. Then we have something like this. Let's fix this part, even though we are not going to see it, but then let's fix it. So let's just add a loop cut right here, then one loop cut right here as well to fix this part, right? So we have something nice like this. So next, let's create the content which is inside. So we are going to name this our bottle first, and then once we have this selected, we can do Shift plus D to create a duplicate, and then we name the duplicate as content. So you see we have bottle and then bottle one. So this is the duplicate. Let's just name it as content. So that will be the content inside our perfume. So with our content selected, let's hit on slash to isolate it, tab into edit mode, and then let's try and delete some parts. So first, let's make sure we have our face select mode active. Alt click to select this entire loop, X, then delete it from our scene. And then we can select this, hit on L to select length, X, and then delete faces, so that we have only the inner parts left. Then we can delete this part as well. X to delete, Alt click, L, X to delete faces. So once we have this, let's just fill the top part. So Alt, make sure we have our edge select mode active. Alt click to select the entire edge, and then we can do F to fill it up, right? So next, let's just hit on slash to bring back everything. Then make sure we have our wireframe mode active. Then we can do A to select the entire thing, and then we can hit on S to scale it up a little so that it's in between our main glass bottle. Now we can hit on tab, go back to our solid shading mode, and then we are done for the bottle. So now next, let's focus on the top part. It's going to be fairly straightforward and simple. So with the top part, let's select the bottle, tab into edit mode, Alt click to select this ring here, and then we can do Shift S to bring this cursor right in the middle. So cursor to select it, right? So once we have this, we can tab out of edit mode, Shift A, and then we can add in a circle. So let's hit on circle to add in a circle. So vertices, let's set it to 32. That's fine. Radius, let's decrease the radius a bit to something like this, and then we can bring it down. So G, then let's bring it down to somewhere here. So we are creating the part where you press when you are using your perfume. So let's hit on tab to go into edit mode once again, and then we can hit on E. Make sure we have our edge select mode active. Hit on E to extrude and set axis to somewhere here. Then we can S to bring it somewhere here. Then we can add one extrusion here, maybe add a couple of extrusion here and there. Tab out of edit mode, right click, shade it smooth, and then we can add subdivision. So I'll use Ctrl+2 to add in 2 level of subdivision like this, nice and simple. So next, let's slash to isolate it, and then let's add in some thickness. So let's hit on tab A to select everything, Alt+E, and then we can add in some thickness like this. So once we have the thickness added, let's add in a little bit of loop cut here and then here to hold our form very nicely. Maybe we can add one at the middle, so we add one right here. So I have this, maybe add one here, right, so that we have a little bit of thickness inside. I'll hit on slash to go back, and then this is what we have. Next, let's create the inner part of this, though we are not going to see this, but then maybe you use it, you might use it somewhere else, or depending on what you want to render. But I'm going to cover it up later on, but then it's fine, we add in the details anyway. So with this selected, let's tab into edit mode, Alt click to select this ring here, Shift D to create a duplicate, then we hit on P, and then we separate it by selection. Tab out of edit mode, select the one we just did. So first, this will be, let's call it cap 1, and then we can just call this selection cap 2. So let's select it, and then let's call it cap 2 like that. So with this selected, we can tab into edit mode, Alt click to select the entire thing, and then Z, bring it down to somewhere here. Then we can extrude it out. So E to extrude out on the Z axis like this, right? So once we have it here, we can do ES, and then maybe bring it down a little bit. Then we can do ES and then F to fill it up like this. Nice. So we can add in some loop cut here to tighten this up a bit like this. Tab out of edit mode, and then this is what we have. Let's create that small little hole here that the perfume passes in when you spray. So tab into edit mode, and then let's add in some loop cut. So first, let's add the loop cut right at the middle like this. Then Control R, add 2 loop cuts at the top like this, and then make sure we have this. We are going to use this 4 sides to create that little hole detail. So first, let's make sure we have our face select mode active. Alt shift click to select this 4 sides. Then we can do I to insert, and then right click, go back to our loop tools. Then we hit on circle to create a circle, right? So it's flattened here in the properties of the loop tool. So let's make sure we uncheck the flatten here, and then we can do S to scale it down a little bit. Then we can do I to add in an insertion. So this is just going, the first one is going to be a supporting loop, so we are going to use this for the extrusion. Then we can do E to extrude it inside like this nicely. So here, let's just uncheck this so that we can see what we are doing. Then we can do I to insert, and then I to insert it one more time. And then we can do E to bring it out, and then we can do I to insert, then E to bring it out, X, and then we can delete faces, right? So that we have something like this. So this is how we can create a hole inside a cylinder in case you want to use it later on. So if I hit on tab to go back into edit mode, this is what we have. You can just right click and then shade it smooth, so that we have something nice like this. Next, let's create the cover, which is obviously going to cover everything as I told you. So we can just hit Shift A, add in a circle right in the middle. Let's scale our circle up a bit, G to bring it down to somewhere here, and then we can tab into edit mode, E to make sure we have our edge mode selected, and then E to extrude it up on the Z axis, and then you know the drill by now. Extrude, scale, extrude, scale, and then F to fill. And then maybe we can add a loop cut here. Control R, add a loop cut, tab out of edit mode, right click, shade it smooth, and then Control plus 2 to add 2 level of subdivision surface to it. And then maybe tab into edit mode, Control R, add a couple of loop cuts here, slash to isolate it, and then A to select everything, and then Alt plus E, adding some thickness right here. So once we add the thickness, maybe we can add one loop cut here, and then one loop cut here to tighten the form a little bit. So now let's slash to go back, and then we have something like this. You can increase it, of course, maybe scale it up a little, apply our scale, and then this is what we have. I think we are done with our perfume bottle. Nice. So let's select this, and then let's just rename it to outer cup. Nicely. So let's select everything, hold shift, select our perfume bottle, Control plus P, and then we can just set parents to objects. So now if we move our perfume bottle, everything moves along with it nicely. So next, let's add in some assets we can get free online to download, and then let's use that to set up our composition, add in our lighting, and then add in our final render. So the asset we are going to use is, we're going to add in a rock that we can get from Polyhaven. I'm going to leave a link in the description below. So this models, you go to Polyhavens, and then you go to models, and then you search for rock. We are going to add this rock. We are going to click on it, and then we hit on download to download it onto our PC. You'll just hit on download, and then it will start downloading onto our PC. So once we have it downloaded, I can just hit here to open it up like this. So we have our rock here. Let's double click it and then bring it here. So once we have this, we are going to extract these two into our working folder, right? So first I'll open my folder. So this is my working folder. I'll just drag and drop these two, the rock and then the texture, into our working folder. So once we have that, we can just, with it selected, with the rock selected, we can just drag it and drop it into our scene. So just drag and drop. Blender is going to ask you whether you want to link, append, or open. So let's just hit on append, and then let's go to our mesh, and then let's just select one of the rocks. So we just select one, and then we hit on append, and it will be added into our scene. So it's added here. If you can see it, it's very tiny. So let's just scale it up very big. So let's hit on S, now let's scale it up until it's very huge like this. It's looking better. So once we have it up like this, we can do G, Z to bring it down, and then select our bottle, G, and then bring it up till we have something like this, right? So we can scale this up a little bit more depending on what we want. So once we have our rock inside, all the textures and everything will be applied to it by default. So we can do Control S to save our progress, so that if in case Blender crashes, we still have our file. So once we have everything, we can just hit here to see the textures which have been applied to our rock. So everything is applied nicely. So next, let's go back and then let's see how we can set up our composition and then our scene. So I'll drag my mouse wheel here to bring another window. This is where we are going to set up our composition. So let's hit on our camera to toggle into our camera view. So this, we are going to go for a portrait view instead of the landscape. So let's go to our render properties, and then let's go to our output properties, and then let's change the resolution to 1080 by 1350. So it's an Instagram size in case you want to post your work on Instagram later on. So once we have this, we can lock our camera, and then we can position your scene. Want something like this, like bottom up shot. Just find something that works for you. Play with it. At this point, I encourage you to play with it, explore, discover, have fun with it, right? So nice, something like this. Maybe let's bring our bottle forward a bit. Yeah, I think this kind of shot or camera angle looks nice for me. So next, let's add in some lights, some materials, and then we can do our final render. So let me drag this and bring it up, change this to our shader editor, and then we can start playing with our materials. So let's start from easy to hard, as we always do. So first, let's start from the top part. Before we go further, let's just add in an HDRI that will help us with our lighting. Then we can delete it later and add in our main default lighting. So let's go to world with the background selected, hit on Ctrl+T, make sure you have your node wrangler add-on active. Then we can hit on open, locate, download free HDRIs from here. This same website, they still have HDRIs, so you can get some and download for free. Then just plug in any of them for now. Let's change this render from EV to cycles. Then make sure we have our GPU compute active. Then we can hit on our render to see what we have just for now. So once we are in our render, we can just go to film, make sure we check our transparent so that we don't see the HDRI, but then the light is still affected. So now with this top part selected, let's go back to our object. Now let's hit on new to create a new material. We want to give it a metallic black material like this, and then let's create a little bit of detail at the middle. So with this selected, let's tab into edit mode. Let's make sure we have our face select mode, alt click to select this entire ring here. Yes, I'm going to scale it down a little bit like this. And then let's go to our materials properties. With this selected, let's hit on the plus to create a new material slot. Let's hit on new to create a new material to add it to the slot. And then let's hit on assign to assign this new material to the selected parts. So once we have it assigned, we can change the color to something like this, and then make it metallic as well, decrease the roughness. And then if we tab out of edit mode, we have something nice like this with a little bit of detail at the middle like this. We can play with the color, so you find something that works for you. At this point, you have the full freedom to play with it, and then make tweaks, make edits till you find what works best for you, what looks beautiful for you. So next, let's focus on the glass. It's going to be a simple glass shader. So I'll unplug this for now. X to delete it from the scene, Shift+A, and then we can look for our glass shader. Just plug this to the surface, and we have our glass. Next, let's make sure all our normals are facing the right place because of the extrusions we did. So to do that, we have to turn on face orientation, and then as you can see, everything is red. So let's hit on tab to go into edit mode, A to select everything, Shift+N to recalculate the normals, tab A, Shift+N to recalculate the normals, and then now everything is facing nicely as they should. Let's look at what's inside. Yeah, it's also facing nicely like that. So now we can go back to our, let's turn the face orientation off, and then let's continue with our glass. So we have the glass selected. Maybe we can add in a little bit of roughness to make it a little bit rough. Then maybe let's play with the color a bit like this. Just play with it to find a nice color like this, right? So next, let's select Let's select the content. Make sure we have the content selected. The content selected instead of the bottle. And then we can hit on this to create a duplicate, and then we can play with the color of the content as well. Maybe make it a little bit darker like this, so the content is different, a little bit different from the main bottle, right? Nice and beautiful. So we can just still play with it. Just feel free to tweak things here and there to find what works best for you. So once we have this, maybe let's play with, let's decrease the value, the hue from this. Let's just remove all the hue from the rock. So let's select the rock. Then the rock will come with its own textures once we add it into our scene. So first we have to just add in a hue saturation adjustment here, and then we can play with the hue and saturation. So let's do Shift plus A, and then we can search for hue saturation value adjustment. Let's plug it right in the middle, and then we can decrease the value a bit like this, so we have a nice darker rock like this. So this is what we are looking for. Next, let's add in a backdrop. So Shift A, mesh plane, G to bring it back, and then R, and then we can rotate it on the Y axis 90 degrees, then S to scale it up, scale it even up like this. So let's add in a new material to our backdrop. Maybe add a noise texture. So Shift A, noise, and then let's plug the factor into our base color, and then we can play with the lacranarity, can play with the scale, maybe the detail and distortion. Not much distortion, yeah. So we can play with the scale till we have something like this, right? So once we have this, we can add in a color ramp in the middle, and then we can play with the color ramp as well. So once we have a color ramp, the white part, let's just make it a darker version of this, and then this part we can bring in the light a little bit, so we can add a darker version as well like this, so that we have some variation inside our material. Can bring this up here so that it's subtle, but then it's inside. We can have a little bit of variation inside our material. You can bring the rock down a bit like this. And then next, let's add in our label, and then let's see how we can add in our own custom light. So select this, tab into edit mode, and then let's make sure we have our face select mode active. Click this, hold Shift Control, and then click to select this entire faces here. Then Shift D to duplicate, and then P, and then to separate it by selection. Then we are going to rename it to label. Once we have it renamed, in our materials tab out of edit mode, make sure we have our label selected. First, let's go to our subdivision surface, hit on X to remove the subdivision, and then click here to make sure we don't have any material applied to it for now. So next, let's hit on new to create a new material. With this selected, Ctrl plus T to add in our image texture. So I hit on open, then we locate where we save our image texture. So I just have this simple image texture I created inside Photoshop. I'll just hit on open to add it into our scene, right? So let's, with this selected, let's bring it forward a little bit. So I'll hit on G, then Z on the X axis to bring it out a little bit so that it pops out of the glass. So this is what we have. Let's just make sure we have the alpha plugged into the alpha like this, right? So next, let's go quickly jump into our UV editing to see how we can solve the UV to make everything look nice. So I'll just go to my viewport shading mode. so that I can see what I have here. Select this, hit on A to select everything, drag to select it here, S to scale it out, G to bring it down, S to scale it out a little bit. So once we have this, let's rotate it. So we rotate it minus -90, and then it's looking nice. So we can S to scale it down, S to scale it out like this, so the proportion and everything is okay. Right, so play with it till you find what works best for you. So once we are done, we can go back to our layout to see what we have. So I think this is looking nice and beautiful. You can always jump to the UV to make some adjustments until everything is looking nice and beautiful as it's supposed to. Right, so once we are done, we can even render it like this if we want, or we can add in our own lighting depending on your taste. So let's just try and add in our own lighting for this one. I know this video is going on for long, but then we just have to see how we can practice and then see if we can get the best results. So let's go back to the world and let's just remove this from it, and then everything will be dark. So now let's add in our light. We add in an area light for the first one, G to bring it to the side like this, and then we rotate it on the x-axis till it's facing our object. Then we can do S to scale it out, S to scale it like this, right? Then we'll go back to our light properties, increase the power to, let's say, 3000. Right, nice and beautiful. Can bring it back a little bit, maybe too much, and then rotate it till it's facing our object. Bring it back a little like this, so it adds some slight lighting here. We can still increase the power if the power is small, so we have nice lighting like this. So let's shift D to create a duplicate, and then let's bring it on the side, RZ, and then let's position it here. Is it doing something? Yeah, I think it's adding a little bit of light here as well. Let's do G, bring it forward a little. Yeah, so it adds a little bit of light here as well. So next, let's create a duplicate once again, Shift D. Now let's bring it forward, rotate it till it's facing our object. And then this, we can make it bigger. So this will be our main light. Let's make it bigger. I think we can bring this back a little. Yeah, so this is going to be our main light. Let's make it bigger, and then maybe increase the power to 5000. Then G. Yeah, I think it's looking nice and beautiful. So next, maybe finally we can add in another light at the top. So let's do Shift A, add in a real light. Play with the light. Feel free to play with the light. Be creative. You have the full control. The full direction is in your hands. So with the light added, GZ to bring it up. We have one light here. GZ to bring it up. We want to create a little bit of highlight right at the top like this, so it's a little bit of reflection and a highlight. So I'll bring it forward, then maybe increase the power to 300. Right, so you can see we have a little bit of light here. Then scale it out until it's a little bit like this, nice and beautiful. Then maybe bring it forward. So we have a nice highlight at the top like this, right? That's what I was looking for. So next, maybe you can add another light right at the back. Shift A, you can add a point light. G, bring it back. then increase the power to, let's say, 1,000, or maybe 2,000. Yeah, I think it's looking nice. Maybe we can add in a little bit of lights. Once again, Shift D, bring it to the back, and then let's point it to here. If it's not working, you can always delete it. So as you can, it's not working. But if it's something you're going for, please feel free, go ahead. X, I'll delete it from the scene. Just Shift D, and then maybe rotate it on the X axis like this. G to bring it back. R to rotate it here. G to bring it forward. I want to see if I can catch some highlight right at the back. Yeah, so this light, I just wanted to see if I can catch this highlight. So let's decrease the power a bit to, let's say, 100, or maybe even a 50. So I just want a little highlight right here. It's looking nice for me. So next, once we are done with everything, I think that is it. So the light is all over the place. Yeah, it's a little bit intentional. Please feel free to play with the light. The more you do it, the more you see how the artistic, the art direction you're looking for. Yeah, so there's no one size fits all lighting. Let's make sure everything looks good and beautiful for the purpose you are looking for. Just follow a little bit of rules and then break them, create something nice for yourself. Yeah, so with this, I think everything is looking nice and perfect. We can even go further. We can select this light, maybe add in a little bit of color to it to create this nice dynamism. It's looking beautiful. So next, we can take this a step further. This is reflecting almost perfectly. We can add in some imperfections to it if we want. So I'm going to leave a link in the description if you want to download the fingerprint imperfection. So you go to your ambient CG, you'll be able to get free fingerprint imperfections. So I'm going to be using this here. I will leave a link if you want to follow along. So just grab just the 2K PNG image will be fine. So just hit on it, and then you'll be able to download it. You can see I've already downloaded it. So I'll just open it into my scene. So once you have it opened, just extract the roughness. We need only this one. So we just extract it into our folder. So just select this, extract the roughness, drag and drop it into our folder like this, and then we are going to use this to create the imperfections. So I'll go back. So with the roughness created, let's make sure we have our glass selected. Let's change this to object. So this our main glass. Let's go to our project file, select this fingerprint, drag and drop it into our scene like this, and then let's plug this roughness, the color, into the roughness like this, right? And once we have the color plugged into the roughness, let's just make sure we have it set to non-color, and then with this selected, we can do Ctrl+T. Then make sure it's set to our mappings, it's set to our UV editing. So as you can see, I'll just bring this up here, change this to here, and you can see what we have. So you can see we have some roughness here and there, which breaks the perfect lighting that we had earlier on. But let's play with this to make it look a little bit nicer. So to play with this, we are going to add in the color ramp right at the middle like this. So we do Ctrl+A, then we can search for our color ramp. Then let's plug the color ramp right at the middle, right? So with the color ramp plugged, the black is 0, which means 0 roughness, which means more roughness, and the white is 1, which means no roughness at all. So let's just select this white, and then let's make it a little bit to the darker side, so that at least there's always some roughness which is being applied. So now if you see, we still have our roughness. Then let's select the black. We don't want 100% roughness, so let's just increase it a little like this, so that we have a little bit of roughness, but not too much. But then we have some imperfections inside our roughness to break the roughness a little bit, if you can see it. So if you can see, it's not completely rough. First it was like this. Let me just remove it. So first it was like this, everything smooth and nice, but then let's add in a little bit of imperfection. So we just plug this into the roughness, and then it breaks the reflection a little bit. So this the first, before, and then after. Just makes everything looks a little bit more realistic. So once you have everything nice and set up, you can just go to your render properties, go to your color management, and then maybe we can go with medium high contrast to make everything look a little bit more punchier, or maybe high contrast. It's all up to you. I'll go with medium high contrast for now. So once you have everything nice and set, and everything is looking nice and beautiful, we can set our final render. So I'll set my max sample to 1000. It's fine, but go higher if your PC can handle it. So we save, Ctrl+S to save everything, go to our render, and then we can render our final image. So once your final image is rendered, you can then take it into Photoshop, adding some how do we call this, adding some colors here and there, adding some adjustment layers here and there to pop everything up, to make everything look nice. So this is what we have. Thank you very much for watching. I know I've been talking for very long, but then I have to do it. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to subscribe. See you on the next one. It's my friend. Peace out.